Hi, welcome to Potentially Genius, where we, Tomorrow Lab, take what is probably a potentially genius idea and turn it into more of a potentially genius thing. It's more of a race against time to see how real we can make something in the shortest amount of time possible. We have a 4-phase process to do this. We start with discovery, then we go into ideation, followed by prototyping, and then a final presentation to our potential genius. So let's get into it.
Hello.
We know each other from Georgia Tech, but could you let the rest of everyone know your background and kind of who you are, what you do?
I was previously a founding member and director of product at Little Bits, an ed tech educational startup. And a couple of years ago, I got really into sustainable energy and solar and founded my own company called Grouphug Solar, where we design and manufacture solar panels that can hang in your window. And a lot of what we focus on is trying to make solar energy really fun and exciting in unexpected ways. One of the craziest things we've made is like a gigantic, 4-foot by 4-foot cat-shaped solar panel that meows. Part of what we're trying to do is make it more relevant and exciting to someone's everyday life. So my challenge to you guys would be, can you think of an everyday household action or something that happens in people's habits every day? Can we transform it to be solar, but in a really fun, sort of sticky experience that doesn't feel like a chore and makes it exciting?
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by the Japanese art of Shindoku, those inventions that are very likely to be against you when you're using it in daily life. What if we use solar panel to charge the energy? Whenever there's enough energy, maybe it's put close to a socket where there's a gate, it blocks your AC outlet.
You could port that over to something that hangs and turns off your light switch even. If it senses it's bright enough, it just sort of slowly moves down and turns your lights off.
Yo, that's great.
Yeah.
There are obviously a ton of great ideas on the table. We'll see where this goes. And the next time we see you, we'll be sharing our potentially genius idea.
I can't wait. Thank you guys for having me. You're all now solar experts. Feel free to reach out with any questions.
Julia, Dorian, it's your show this week. What do you guys want to make?
What if we started with some blinds or something, a really simple structure, right? That's just a rotation. And what if it was an electronic blind system that you could control how open they were with the energy that you harvest from them?
You have Venetian blinds behind you, right?
Yeah.
All the way from Venice. Or I guess they're called mini blinds when they're small like that. Do they have the little twisty do?
Yep.
Can you turn the twisty do?
Yes.
So, if you had something where it was on the other side of the window and when the sun's coming in, it slowly closes that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if it's something that spring loads and just releases it and it goes, right? Or right? And basically what we do is we create a thing that automatically closes your blinds for you when you're out of the house.
Right.
And then if you're home, you open them, right? But then when you leave, it'll just shut all your blinds and it'll reduce the overall AC consumption for a house in the summer.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting thinking about this as an aftermarket product, sort of like those Wi-Fi button pushers. Yes, I could throw away my coffee maker and get a Wi-Fi connected one, or I could get a small, aftermarket thing and just, adapt what I already have. So what's interesting about the vertical blinds is they all have that same connection type where you have that plastic wand and that little metal hasp at the top where it kind of connects. That might be our common junction that we kind of create something that just hangs on and twists itself.
This is exciting. I think we have an idea here.
Dorian, you were doing some charging research?
Yeah. So I was just trying to think of what are some electrical components that we could use
Through what service will we find those types of electrical components?
Well, obviously we go to Digi-Key first.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. The first thing, obviously, you want to do is like collect the solar energy. And Adafruit has this really nice solar harvesting circuit. A lot of status updates on this board. Like you can see on the bottom of the board, there's a lot of pins there. That could help with the logic of knowing when is it actually charging, when is the battery fully charged. So there's a lot of great features there. Then also we got an MCU to control some like basic logic. Then we got the buck and boost because the solar harvesting circuit is going to output roughly 4 volts. It won't be steady, so we need to either boost that voltage to 5 volts or down to 3.3 volts, so it's a little bit easier to handle. And then the last thing is a motor that we could use for moving parts around. I was thinking either like a servo so we can have like more precise control, or we can also just use a gearbox. And I was thinking about gearbox because that way you can get like a slow moving motor and not waste too much energy. And then we can also use like limit switches to like limit the range of the motion.
Cool. Go.
Julian, Dorian, what's new?
We got some pretty good progress. So here's the overall circuit layout that we were thinking of. I'll start off with the top left, where the main power comes from. That's the solar power panel. That's going to be mounted to the wall, and then we're going to have the power cord from there attached to our Adafruit charging circuit, which will be used to just really provide power to our battery to charge it. And then that board will also provide like an indicator to our MCU to let us know when the circuit is charging our battery, which is also an indication of that the sun is out, and it gives us an idea of when to close the blind. And as the lead screw goes up and down, the MCU will know where, like, what position the blinds are in, whether it's open or closed.
Dorian and I were kind of talking about how to mount these limit switches. These are going to be the PCBs, which is how the limit switches are mounted electronically. And those will be on slots. And I'm going to make a bunch of holes down these 2 lines right here. And so we can adjust where those PCBs are located to make sure that we get a really precise 3.5 turns or open and close markers.
And then if someone's blinds, it takes 4 turns or 5 turns, they could kind of set that with those limit switches, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was having a hard time thinking about how to mount this in a way that would be universal for all blinds. And my idea for this was kind of hooking it over the top of the blinds and then snapping it underneath. And so that holds it into place because it's sandwiched around that top white portion of the blinds.
And so is the plan right now, do you think the electronic package will fit in that void, or do we figure that out later?
No, so a while ago I started making a mounting for a solar panel, and we were thinking that the electronics would be mounted on the back of the solar panel or right next to it. So that would be kind of suction cup to your window. And all of that would be packaged there. And then there would just be a few wires that would run to the motor and this blinds assembly that would actually do the work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm going to finish up this CAD and then I'm going to print everything.
Yep.
Great.
Hey, Krystal. We've been working for a couple weeks and are really excited to share what we came up with.
I can't wait to see what you guys ended up picking and making.
Julia, Dorian, do you want to present the thing?
So this is the thing. The thing is basically something that you attach to your blinds that will sense when the sun is out and close blinds in order to conserve energy and keep the cool air indoors. Dorian, do you want to explain a little bit more of the electronics?
The first piece is that the solar panel is used for 2 things. One, so the solar panel is charging the battery. And the second thing that we're using the solar panel for is to detect when the sun is out, when to actually turn the blinds.
Okay, so I'm starting the blinds closed so that they just calibrate with the twisty. And this just sucks and cuts to the window. And then this will snap on.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so this was 3D printed in different parts and then assembled together. So now if we press the little push button, it'll open.
Nice. That was remarkably simple. This is totally something like my dad would see online and buy like immediately.
You've seen this device, you've seen the idea. Is this potentially genius?
Yes. I do think it's actually genius. There's a lot of like really interesting possibilities that you unlock with like such a simple mechanism.
Yeah.
Well, Krystal, thanks again for being this potentially genius guest.
Thank you for having me.
Can we come up with any good names for this? The blind minder?
Oh, the Shade Master,
There were solar gains.
Solar Games. Oh god. Oh my gosh.
America, close your blinds. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much to our guest. Thanks so much to Digi-Key for sponsoring this. Listen, if you guys have potentially genius ideas, not your big idea, but just like a fun idea or something that you want to see us make, put it in the comments. We're going to be reading them. We're going to be looking for likes, upvotes, or whatever you kids call it. And the ones that like get the most traction, we might actually bring onto the show. We'll reach out to you. You get to be a guest, and we'll build the thing that's in your head. That's our job. Also, if you have any thoughts about our process, comments, criticisms, we don't care, tell us down below. Yeah, and if you want to see more of our work, go over to tomorrow-lab.com, or you can find us on Instagram. Thanks again. Bye!